Hello and welcome on this journey to the south of Spain. Our final destination is Granada, but on the way we'll stop in Montpellier, Lloret de Mar, Madrid and Seville. Our trip started on a Saturday in late March in Seoul. After about an hour, we were past Basel and the French border. Some white and pink hints of spring were flying past us, but generally, nature still seemed in winter sleep. Our train carriage was sleepy too. The train from Zurich to Basel had been full with chatter. On this train, however, it was very quiet. People were dozing and reading. Only an elderly couple with a magazine about the Mediterranean Alps, tucked into the seat before them, exchanged a word once in a while. It felt like we all had decided to enjoy a slow morning, watching the landscape and our thoughts pass by. Until a gentle wake-up call announced our arrival in Lyon, pulling everyone out of their thoughts and dreams, and bringing movement into the carriage. We got moving too, since we had to change trains in Lyon. As it was raining and we didn't have much time to explore, we went to a department store close by, grabbed the juice and the soup, and then our journey continued on a Spanish train. Shortly after Lyon, we passed by a national park. I really liked the landscape, but was a bit late with the camera to do it justice. Suddenly, the climate had changed. It looked drier, there were more bushes than trees, and a sandy yellow ran through the soil and the buildings. The quiet had followed us onto this train as well. A man sitting across from us fell asleep immediately. Outside, however, the wind was fierce, but it was quieting down slowly. And then at 4:25 p.m. and after about 8 hours of travel in total, we arrived in Montpellier, where we'd spent the next 24 hours. We had booked a room at a little hotel in the old town. After checking in, we went for a walk and just picked whatever path looked interesting, which often is the one with the most plants in it, especially when plants are climbing up buildings or overflowing on a balcony. So I couldn't just walk past the one on the right. It was covering a good part of the facade of the building, and its flowers reminded me of Chinese lanterns. You can see it on the left at the end of the alley. The wind brought our attention to another interesting looking plant at our feet. We tried to identify the fruit with a plant app, but we're still not exactly sure what it is. Maybe someone watching knows? Eventually we ended up by the botanical garden. It was already closed for the day, but we made a note of it for the next day. Strutting along the garden wall, with an occasional stop to fight off leaves, was this miniature tiger. We still had a bit of time left before dinner and headed towards the city center. There we noticed the yellow fruits again, and something even more peculiar on them. Parrots? We were in the south, but not that far in the south. However, no one else was really fazed by it. So were they native birds? Well, not really. I did a bit of research and learned that they are the descendants of rose-ringed parakeets that escaped from a Parisian airport in the 70s. Since then, they've spread to several French cities. Apparently England also has a large population, possibly from birds being released from a film set in 1950. And shortly after I was back from this trip, I read in a newspaper article that they've also been spotted in the south of Switzerland. I think that's enough discoveries for a day. Time to get some rest. The next morning, the wind and the clouds had left. We were greeted by a blue sky and sunshine. After taking in the atmosphere for a bit, we packed our bags and dropped off the room key. We had until 4 o'clock in the afternoon to explore again. Then we'd catch our next train that would take us past the sea and the Pyrenees and over the Spanish border. But for now, we headed to breakfast. Then we walked to the Promenade du Pirr, a lovely park and marketplace with a water tower and an aqueduct. The park is the highest point of Montpellier. From the water tower you could even see a bit of the ocean. A flea market was taking place in the square. After listening to the flute player for a bit, we joined the busy market. There was so much to see. I found a couple of things, but I wanted to think it over first. So we left the market and walked around the park. I'd really liked the painting style of a fairy tale book and an old thread box. After considering for a bit, I was ready to make the choice. The book was lovely, but a bit bulky. I decided I'd buy the box if it wasn't more than €5. It turns out it was exactly 5. I'd like to use it as a travel watercolor box. A successful flea market hunt. While we had been strolling around the aqueduct, we had picked up yet another intriguing thing. We didn't know it at that point, but we were holding the seed pod of a magnolia tree. And the name magnolia actually derives from the name of a French botanist, Pirr, who introduced the concept of plant families. He was born here in Montpellier and became director of the botanical garden of the city. We were connecting the dots without realizing, because our next stop was that very garden. We walked right into its heart and listened to the bamboo for a while. There was another sound coming from a bit further away. Could it be a flock of the green parakeets? No, it doesn't sound like birds. But let's follow our ears. They brought us to this pond. At first we couldn't see them in the mix of greens. Then we noticed some movement. And suddenly we spotted them everywhere. How many do you count? It almost got a bit too loud for us after a while, so we continued along the path. I especially liked this little corner. It was mostly protected from the wind and warmed up from the midday sun. A quiet little oasis that lets you recharge after the buzzing market. As I was looking at the different plants, I noticed another animal that seemed different. I think it's a hummingbird hawk moth. It really looks a bit like a hummingbird, with its long trunk and the way it hovers over the flowers. I'm going to slow down the video speed for a bit, so we can see how it rolls out its trunk. There was also this little bumblebee next to it that went from flower to flower, as if it was trying on little hats. This garden is the oldest botanical garden in France. It was founded in the 16th century and is attached to Montpellier's medical faculty, which celebrated its 800-year anniversary in 2020, making it the oldest medical school in the West that still is in operation. The garden was inspired by a medical garden in Padua Italy. Its original aim was developing health through plants. 250 Mediterranean medicinal plants and herbs grow here, 50 species of succulents and many other plants, like ferns, palm trees and water lilies. There's so much left to see, for hopefully another time, such as the oldest tree in the garden, which is 400 years old and believed to grant wishes, if you write them on a small piece of paper and hide it in the twists of the tree. After the botanical garden, we went back to the old town. We followed the plants again and ended up at the Church of Saint-Roch, where we made our last discovery in Montpellier. Right opposite the church was a large mural. The longer we looked, the more painted elements we noticed. Originally, the whole facade had been empty. Only that little narrow window on the right had been there. Later on, some more real windows were added, but the rest is all painted. Even the restaurant entrance at the bottom left, the reflection of the church in the right upper corner, and the roof tiles. A cat on a windowsill couldn't miss either, of course. A beautiful way to bring an empty space to life, isn't it? And that completes this little tour of Montpellier. I hope you enjoyed it. Next stop, Viore de Mar and the sea, which we'll explore in the next video.